Well, we're here at 2630 North Clark Street, the location of the Aspidistra Bookshop, until about '97 when it closed. Now it's a sports bar that I don't want to go to. But yeah, it used to be where I worked for much of the book. It takes place here, I think. And we're standing here in front of the entrance where I took many a drunken spill down this little slope. Because, yeah, most of the time we would just be standing in this store drinking and selling books and being surly to customers and watching people pass by. Beautiful Clark Street here. So much of the book takes place here. There's a lot of drink stories, a lot of fun. I always say it's my favorite job I ever had, and I wish it was still open, but, you know, I made minimum wage. My checks bounced. It was a terrible, terrible way to live and save any money. But, you know, you're in your 20s and so forth. So thought it'd be nice to take a look. If the bar was open, I might go in, but I don't know. I think I'd get too angry that it's here instead of like the shelves of poetry. Instead it's some like stupid pool table and so forth. So. This is 2119 Sedgwick, North Sedgwick, where I lived for a while. One of the great things about the book is that I got to remember all the apartments I've lived in the 90s. I moved to Chicago North Side from the South Side in 1993. It's now 2015. I've moved 19 times between those years. So a lot of it was because I got kicked out of places. A lot of it was because places were condemned. A few people told me to leave, and this is one of them. This is where I lived with my buddy Chris, who had a studio apartment in here and let me sleep on his couch for several months. And while I was working at the Aspidistra and trying to save money for an apartment. And we were really good friends. We still are good friends, but we almost stopped being friends because I lived with him and slept on his couch too long in this very building. And then about a block from here is another apartment where I moved into and never paid a dime's rent because I ended up kind of squatting there until they kicked me out. And I had to sleep in a little loft in a studio apartment and then sneak out in the middle of the night one night. So it's, yeah, we could spend this entire video just looking at apartments I've lived in, which we won't do, but this is probably pretty typical of all of them. It's kind of a dumpy building. The studios are crappy. It was $400 a month at the time. It's probably about $700 now. And there was no air conditioning. This was in 1995 and 96 when people were dying from the heat. So indeed, we had a person next to us die in his apartment building. And we thought it was trash we were smelling. But it turned out to be decomposing flesh in the heat. It's not funny, but I'm laughing anyway. So yeah, good times, good memories, but very much a Lincoln Park studio apartment. So this is my office where I actually work full-time as a teacher, as an instructor of English composition after years of adjuncting, which is definitely highlighted in part 3 of the book. And I think adjuncting sounds more romantic to a lot of people for some reason than it really is. All it is really is you work like a dog. You work crazy. You just drive all over the city and suburbs and you teach at 3 different schools and you have no resources or office whatsoever. So this represents paradise for adjunct teachers, the ultimate goal that they're striving for. And that's pretty much documented in the last part of the book. The goal that I had, which was a pretty ambivalent goal, but nevertheless, here I am. All this is mine. So we were at the Red Lion Pub. This is the bar. It's remodeled now, but in 1995 and 96, this is where I used to come every Wednesday and Sunday. Every night after the Aspidistra, me and most of my coworkers would come here for drinks. I used to come here before the Aspidistra Bookshop, where I would stop and have a quick pint of beer before work, which was totally allowed because my boss was such a drunk. And this place closed for 6 years, and now it's very beautiful and literary, but back then it was a little dumpier. It's a haunted bar, and it was definitely a place that when I moved to the north side, I was the most excited to find because I didn't feel like anything like this existed in the south side at all. So when I would think of bars, I would think of really divey bars. This place was like a step up. It was literary, and there was a lot of you know, drunk talk, but also talk about philosophy, literature, and things like that. So I was very excited to be here. I think I dropped out of college because of the Aspidistra and the Red Lion, because I thought as long as I hang out here Wednesday nights talking to some old book lovers, having a few pints, that I don't need to go to school. It's much better. I'd rather spend my money on drinks than on tuition. So this is it. So yeah, cheers. Salute. Buy the book like a dog.